You think you're not playing the game. But that's exactly what they want you to think. While you're being fair, someone else is taking what's yours. While you're being kind, someone else is writing the rules. The truth about power isn't pretty, but it's the only truth that matters. And you can't escape it. There's a game being played all around you. Every single day. And here's the part nobody wants to tell you. You're already in it. Whether you like it or not. Whether you know it or not. The only question is whether you're playing to win or playing to lose. Most people spend their entire lives pretending this game doesn't exist. They tell themselves that hard work gets rewarded. That kindness wins. That following the rules protects them. And then they watch, confused and bitter, as ruthless people walk past them and take everything. 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli wrote down what everyone knew but nobody dared to say. He looked at power with clear eyes and described exactly how it works. Not how it should work. How it actually works. And people have been terrified of his words ever since. Because once you understand what he was really saying, you can't go back to the comfortable lies. You can't pretend the world is fair. You have to face the ruthless truth. Power exists. And people who understand it will always dominate people who don't. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop pretending? Are you ready to see the world as it actually is? If your answer is yes, then drop this affirmation in the comments. I see the truth. Number 1. The game you're already losing. You've been losing this game your entire life. Not because you're weak, but because nobody told you that you were playing. You were taught to be fair, to wait your turn, to follow the rules. And those lessons, they weren't designed to help you win. They were designed to keep you controllable. Think about it. Who benefits when you're compliant? Who gains when you don't question the system? The people at the top don't play by the same rules they taught you. They follow one simple principle. Power goes to those who take it. Not to those who deserve it. Not to those who wait for it. To those who understand how to acquire it and use it without apology. The system you're following was designed by powerful people to create a predictable, manageable population. Be nice. Don't make waves. Wait your turn. Share what you have. These rules create people who don't threaten the existing power structure. And the brilliant part? They convinced you that following these rules makes you a good person. So now you're proud of your own submission. Machiavelli saw through this immediately. He understood that morality and power operate on different planes. Being moral doesn't make you powerful. Being powerful doesn't make you moral. People deliberately confuse these to control you. Look at who gets promoted in any organization. Is it always the hardest worker? The most ethical person? No. It's the person who understands power dynamics. The one who builds the right relationships. The one who knows when to follow rules and when to bend them. That's the game. And you've been told not to play it because the people already winning don't want competition. Machiavelli said that men judge more by appearances than reality. What people think about you matters more than who you actually are. If you appear weak, you will be treated as weak, regardless of your inner strength. Every day you don't understand this, you lose. Every time you prioritize being liked over being respected, you lose. Every moment you believe in fairness while others act strategically, you lose. The game is happening whether you acknowledge it or not. The only difference is whether you're playing consciously or unconsciously. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I play to win. Number 2. Why fear matters more than love. This will make you uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. Love is fragile. Fear is durable. Machiavelli said it's better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. And people lost their minds. But he wasn't wrong. He was just honest. Love requires constant maintenance. It requires validation. It requires you to continuously prove you're worthy. And the moment you fail, that love evaporates. Fear doesn't work that way. Fear creates respect that doesn't need daily reinforcement. Fear establishes boundaries people remember. Fear shapes behavior in lasting ways that love never can. I'm not talking about terrorizing people. I'm talking about healthy fear. The kind that makes people think twice before crossing you. The kind that comes from clear boundaries and consistent consequences. Think about someone you respect deeply. Is there not an element of fear in that respect? Not fear they'll hurt you physically, but fear of disappointing them. Fear of crossing a line you know exists. When people love you, they feel entitled to your time and energy. They take you for granted. They push boundaries because they assume your love means you'll always forgive them. But when people fear you, in the right way, they respect your time. They honor your boundaries. They think carefully before crossing lines. Imagine an employee who constantly shows up late. If you manage through love and kindness, you give them chance after chance. They keep showing up late because there are no real consequences. If you manage through healthy fear, you address it once. Your punctuality affects this team. This is the only conversation we're having about it. That employee never shows up late again. The entire team just learned where the boundaries are. Weak managers think being liked means being effective, but their teams walk all over them. Strong leaders understand that respect mixed with healthy fear creates more loyalty than love ever will. You cannot make everyone love you. It's impossible. But you can make everyone respect you. You can establish boundaries everyone understands. And that respect, grounded in healthy fear of consequences, is far more valuable than scattered affection. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Respect over affection. Number 3. The illusion of virtue. Here's a truth that will shatter your worldview. Virtue is often a disguise for weakness. Machiavelli observed that people who constantly talk about virtue and morality often end up powerless and bitter about how unfair the world is. Why? Because they're using virtue as an excuse not to compete. They're using morality as a shield against having to make difficult decisions. I'm not saying virtue is bad. I'm saying that virtue without power is useless. Goodness without strength is exploitable. Morality without strategic thinking is just weakness wearing a halo. How many times have you used being the bigger person as an excuse to avoid conflict? How many times have you framed giving in as choosing peace when really you were just afraid to fight? This is the trap. People confuse passivity with virtue. They confuse conflict avoidance with nobility. And the ruthless see right through it. Machiavelli wrote that a man who wants to act virtuously in every way necessarily comes to grief among so many who are not virtuous. Being virtuous while everyone else is ruthless guarantees your defeat. The truly powerful understand something subtle. They appear virtuous while acting strategically. They maintain the image of morality while making pragmatic decisions behind closed doors. You're in an arena where some people fight dirty. And if you refuse to adapt, if you cling to virtue as a security blanket, you will lose. Not because virtue is weak, but because virtue alone is insufficient. This doesn't mean abandon all ethics. It means understand that ethics are a tool, not a prison. They serve you when they're useful. They don't serve you when they guarantee your defeat. History remembers winners. It judges them by their results, not their methods. And the winners understood that virtue is a luxury you can afford only after you've secured power. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Strategy over sanctimony. Number 4. Why you must control your reputation. Your reputation is not what you are. It's what people believe you are. And in the game of power, perception is the only reality that matters. Machiavelli wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. What people think about you is more important than the truth about you. Your reputation is the most valuable asset you have. It's the story that gets told about you when you're not in the room. And if you're not actively managing it, you're leaving your most important weapon to chance. Most people let their reputation form by accident. They assume being good will create a good reputation. They think working hard will be noticed. And they're shocked when their reputation doesn't match their reality. Let's say you're competent but quiet. You do good work but don't talk about it. Your reputation becomes invisible. When opportunities arise, you're not considered. Now let's say you're competent and strategic about visibility. You make sure the right people know about your successes. You position yourself in conversations where decisions get made. Same competence, different reputation. And that reputation creates opportunities. Machiavelli understood that humans judge based on what we see, not what we investigate. We believe stories that resonate, not facts that are accurate. We follow people who appear strong, not people who claim to be strong. So how do you control your reputation? First, decide what you want it to be. Not what you are, but what perception serves your goals. Do you want to be seen as reliable, dangerous, innovative, uncompromising? Second, align every visible action with that reputation. Everything people see reinforces the story. Everything you say publicly supports the narrative. The most powerful people in any system are masters of this. They appear one way in public and operate differently in private. They cultivate a reputation that serves them while keeping their actual methods hidden. It doesn't matter if you're the best at what you do if nobody knows it. It doesn't matter if you're incredibly capable if your reputation is weak. What people believe about you is more important than the truth. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my image. Number 5. The power of calculated silence. Talk less. Observe more. And when you do speak, make every word count. Silence is one of the most potent forms of power, and most people can't handle it. They get uncomfortable. They feel pressure to explain, to justify, to fill the void. And every word they speak gives away information, reveals weaknesses, shows their hand. But when you stay silent, people start projecting their own fears onto you. They imagine what you're thinking. They worry about what you might do. And suddenly you have power over them without saying a word. Machiavelli understood that mystique is power. The less people know about how you think, what you want, and what you'll do next, the more dangerous you become. Think about someone who intimidates you. They're probably not the loudest person in the room. They're probably the quietest. They watch. They listen. They absorb everything. And when they finally do speak, everyone listens because their words are rare and valuable. Compare that to someone who talks constantly. Their words become worthless. Nobody listens because there's too much noise. Their constant need to explain makes them appear insecure. Someone criticizes you in a meeting. The weak response is immediate defense. The powerful response? Silence. Just look at them. Let the criticism hang in the air. Then, if you respond at all, you do it briefly, calmly. I've made my decision. We're moving forward. That silence before your response? That's power. Silence also works in negotiations. Whoever speaks first often loses. Whoever fills the silence with concessions reveals desperation. The person who can sit comfortably in silence wins. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. Stop justifying your decisions. Start observing more than you speak. Start letting your actions communicate instead of your words. Because in that uncertainty lies power. In that mystery lies respect. In that silence lies control. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Silence is strength. Number 6. Understanding human selfishness. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. People are fundamentally selfish. Every single person, including you, operates primarily from self-interest. Machiavelli didn't judge this. He simply observed it and built his philosophy around this truth. And once you accept this reality, everything about human behavior becomes predictable. People smile at you because being pleasant serves some purpose in their life. People help you because it makes them feel good, or because they expect reciprocity, or because it benefits their reputation. Even love has self-interest at its core. You love people who make you feel something you want to feel. You love people who add value to your life. Machiavelli wrote that you can generally say this about men: they are ungrateful, fickle, greedy for gain. While you're treating them well, they're yours completely, but when the need is far away, they turn against you. Look at your own life honestly. How many people disappeared when you couldn't offer them anything? How many friends became distant when you stopped being useful? The ruthless understand this completely. They don't take it personally. They simply use this knowledge strategically. If people are motivated by self-interest, then the key to influence is aligning what you want with what serves them. Purely moral appeals rarely work. Telling someone they should do something because it's right has minimal influence. But showing them how doing something serves their interests, that works every time. You want a colleague to support your project. The weak approach: I helped you before, so you should help me. The strategic approach: supporting this project positions you well with leadership because they're prioritizing this initiative. That's not manipulation. That's understanding human nature and working with it. Understanding human selfishness also means understanding that loyalty is conditional. People aren't loyal to you, they're loyal to what you represent, what you provide. The moment someone else offers more, that loyalty evaporates. So don't rely on loyalty. Build systems where people's self-interest naturally aligns with supporting you. Make yourself valuable enough that losing you costs them significantly. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I see people clearly. Number 7. The art of necessary cruelty. This is where Machiavelli separates from everyone else. Sometimes cruelty is necessary. Sometimes being harsh is more merciful than being kind. Machiavelli wrote about this extensively, and people called him a devil for it. But he was just honest about something great leaders have always known. Half measures often cause more suffering than decisive cruelty. Imagine you're leading a team and one person is toxic. They undermine morale. They make everyone miserable. The kind response is to counsel them repeatedly, give them chances. And what happens? Months of dysfunction. The entire team suffers while you're being compassionate to one person. The cruel response, firing them immediately, ends the problem in one painful moment. Yes, that person suffers. But everyone else is liberated. Productivity returns. Morale improves. Which choice caused more total suffering? Sometimes what looks like cruelty is actually mercy in disguise. Sometimes the harsh choice is the compassionate choice when you calculate total suffering rather than immediate pain. Machiavelli said that cruelties must be done all at once so people can adjust and move forward. When you must hurt people, do it decisively and completely. Don't drag it out. Make it quick, thorough, final. This requires strength most people don't have. Because being decisively cruel in the moment feels harder than being gradually cruel over time. This isn't about being randomly harsh. This is about recognizing that sometimes the most ethical choice is the one that looks cruel but minimizes total suffering. It's about having the courage to make hard decisions instead of avoiding them because you want to be liked. Think about surgery. A surgeon cuts, causes pain, creates trauma. But that temporary cruelty saves lives. The compassionate leaders who can't make hard decisions often create more suffering than ruthless leaders. Because compassionate leaders hesitate. They give endless chances that just prolong dysfunction. The ruthless leader recognizes the problem and executes it completely. When you must hurt someone, Machiavelli said you should hurt them badly enough that they can't retaliate. Half-hurting someone just creates an enemy who can still fight back. The people who can't stomach this philosophy are usually the same people who create endless drama in their lives. They can't make clean breaks. They can't execute necessary cruelty. So they have toxic people who refuse to leave because they were never properly expelled. Real positive change often requires someone willing to be the bad guy, to make the cruel choice, to cause necessary pain that prevents greater pain. The cruelest people are often the ones who think they're being kind, the ones who can't make hard decisions. They cause more total suffering than someone who can be decisively harsh when necessary. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I make hard choices. Number 8. Why you must appear strong. Perception of strength matters more than actual strength. Reality is almost irrelevant. What people believe about you determines how they treat you. Two people have the same capabilities, but one carries themselves with absolute confidence. They speak with certainty. They project unshakable strength. The other is equally capable but hesitant. They qualify their statements. They project uncertainty. Who gets the promotion? Who gets respect? The one who appears stronger. Every single time. That's not fair. That's not based on merit. But it's how humans work. We make instant judgments based on limited information. And we treat people according to our perception, not according to who they actually are. You might be incredibly competent. You might work harder than everyone. But if you appear weak, if you project uncertainty, if you signal insecurity, you will be treated as weak regardless of your actual capabilities. And worse, being treated as weak actually makes you weaker. Because you start believing it. So how do you appear strong? First, consistency. You can't project strength one day and weakness the next. You must consistently present the image you want people to believe. Second, control your visible reactions. When challenged, you don't get defensive. When insulted, you don't react emotionally. When threatened, you don't show fear. Third, decisive communication. You don't say, I think maybe we should possibly consider. You say, we're doing this. You state intentions as facts. Fourth, control your body language. You take up space. You maintain eye contact. You move deliberately. All of this can be learned. None of this requires you to actually be the strongest. It just requires understanding that perception is based on visible cues, and those cues can be controlled. Once you appear strong consistently enough, you actually become strong. Because appearance creates reality. When people treat you as strong, you get opportunities that build actual strength. Machiavelli wrote that all armed prophets succeed while unarmed prophets fail. Even if you have the truth, even if you're right, without the appearance of strength, you will fail. Change the appearance, and you'll change how people respond to you. Change how people respond, and you'll change your actual position. Change your position, and you'll gain access to real power. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I project unshakable strength. Number 9. The reality of betrayal. Everyone will betray you eventually. Not because they're evil, but because when circumstances align correctly, when their interests diverge from yours sharply enough, betrayal becomes rational. Machiavelli was betrayed repeatedly by people he trusted. Instead of becoming bitter, he became analytical. He studied betrayal like a scientist. Because it's a natural, predictable outcome of human nature under certain conditions. Loyalty is always conditional. Always. And when those conditions change dramatically enough, loyalty evaporates. People betray when loyalty becomes costly. When standing by you threatens their position, their reputation, their livelihood, most people will step back. Self-preservation is programmed deeper than loyalty. They betray when a better option appears. Someone offers them more than you can. Suddenly their loyalty to you is competing with an attractive alternative. They betray when they're afraid. If they believe you're losing, if they think staying loyal means going down with you, they'll jump ship to save themselves. They betray when they're resentful. Maybe you've taken them for granted. That resentment builds until betrayal feels like justice to them. So what do? You structure relationships so that betrayal is more costly than loyalty. You create situations where people's self-interest naturally aligns with supporting you. Never let anyone know everything. Compartmentalize information. This way, if someone betrays you, they can only damage part of your operation, not destroy it entirely. Create interdependence. Make it so that your success is tied to their success. When betrayal becomes self-destructive, it becomes much less likely. Maintain multiple relationships and don't put all your trust in one person. Diversify your dependencies. One betrayal is survivable, not catastrophic. Watch for warning signs. People signal their upcoming betrayal if you're paying attention. They become distant. They hedge their commitments. They start questioning decisions they previously supported. When you spot these signs, you don't confront them emotionally. You recognize what's happening and start managing the transition. Sometimes you have to betray first. When you see betrayal coming, waiting for them to strike first is foolish. You move preemptively. The most powerful people expect betrayal. They prepare for it. They structure their operations to withstand it. And when it happens, they barely blink because they saw it coming. Stop being shocked when people let you down. Stop being surprised when loyalty proves conditional. These things are features of human nature, not bugs. Your job isn't to prevent all betrayal. That's impossible. Your job is to make betrayal costly, to survive it when it comes, and to never be so dependent on any single person that their betrayal destroys you. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I survive betrayal. Closing. The inescapable game. Let's bring this full circle. Let's talk about why you can't escape this. You might be thinking, this is dark. This is cynical. This isn't how I want to live. And that's fine. But understand, your refusal to engage with these principles doesn't make them go away. It just makes you vulnerable to people who do understand them. The game is happening whether you acknowledge it or not. Power is being exercised whether you participate consciously or not. Ruthless people are operating in your world right now, using these exact principles, and your ignorance doesn't protect you, it makes you an easier target. Machiavelli wasn't creating these dynamics. He was just honest enough to describe them. He looked at how power actually works, stripped away the comfortable lies, and wrote down what everyone knows but nobody wants to admit. And 500 years later, nothing has changed. The same principles apply. The same ruthless people win while the same naive people wonder why life is so unfair. Fairness is a fantasy that weak people invented to feel better about losing. The world is not fair. It never was. Success goes to those who understand how things actually work and act accordingly. You can keep pretending that kindness is enough. You can keep believing that if you're just good enough, eventually you'll get what you deserve. You can stay in that comfortable fantasy until someone ruthless walks into your life and takes everything. Or you can wake up. You can accept that power is real. That understanding those principles doesn't make you evil, it makes you effective. You can learn to see the game clearly, to play it strategically, to protect yourself without apology. This doesn't mean becoming a monster. it means becoming conscious. It means stopping being a victim and becoming someone who understands how to navigate reality. Machiavelli gave you the map. The question is whether you're brave enough to use it. Most people will watch this, feel uncomfortable, and immediately go back to their comfortable delusions. They'll reject what they heard because accepting it requires changing how they see the world. But some of you will actually hear this. You'll recognize the truth in what Machiavelli observed. You'll see how these principles are already operating in your life. You'll realize that every time you've been taken advantage of, it was because you didn't understand the game while someone else did. And if you're one of those people, you have a decision to make. Will you learn these principles? Will you study how power actually works? Will you develop the strategic thinking, the emotional control, the willingness to make hard decisions that separate the powerful from the powerless? Or will you go back to sleep, back to the fantasy, back to being shocked every time the world doesn't reward your goodness? The ruthless truth about power that you can't escape is this: it's everywhere, it's always operating, and you're already playing the game. The only question is whether you're playing consciously or unconsciously. You can't escape this game, but you can learn to play it. You can develop the awareness, the strategy, the strength to not just survive but to win. If you made it this far, you're different from most people. You're willing to question. You're willing to face reality even when it's harsh. That willingness is the first step toward real power. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button. If you know someone who keeps getting taken advantage of, share this with them. You might save them years of pain. And if you want more content like this, content that cuts through comfortable lies and tells you the harsh truth about power, subscribe to this channel. Because we don't do motivational fluff here. We deal in reality. And reality is where power lives. The ruthless truth about power that you can't escape? You just faced it. And now you have knowledge that changes everything if you choose to use it. Machiavelli gave you the truth 500 years ago. I just delivered it to you today. What you do with it, that's entirely up to you. The game is happening. Power is being exercised. Ruthless people are making moves. And your ignorance doesn't protect you, it exposes you. So make your choice. Will you learn to play the game, or will you keep pretending it doesn't exist until it's too late? Which side will you be on? Make it count.